Hey Virgo, welcome to your mid-June reading. I'm Amanda with Unseen Hands Healing, and this is Coconut. I'm dog sitting for the week, so we've got some extra special energy here for your reading today. I'm choosing the Next World Tarot for your mid-June wisdom, your mid-June message here, because if you remember from my new moon in Gemini reading, which if you haven't watched that, please go watch that video. It's going to connect with your reading here pretty directly. I really felt like that new moon in Gemini that started off the month really was an opening, a portal that's launching us into an entirely new world and an entirely new way of being in the world, walking through the world. It's time for a new paradigm, and there's a real energy shift happening here. And so this mid-June check-in, the Next World Tarot, has the energy that we need to move into this next world and the advice for us. So we're starting off here with some pretty intense cards for you, Virgo, and that is indicating this shift into the new world for you. So we start off with the Devil. It's a lot going on this card. So I'm going to break it down here. The things that immediately stuck out to me. Right at the top here it says, justice is not blind. And we've got two eagles at the top, all right? One of them is carrying a missile, and there is a series of missiles being dropped beneath of it. We've also got a shark in a suit rising up out of the ground with money in its mouth and blood. We've got a politician in the back here shaking hands with the KKK. We've got a television, an old television set, plugged into the framework surrounding this card. You can see that right there. And some people sort of sitting around that television fighting over the remote. It's a lot happening here. Justice is not blind, and underneath it says, when silence equals profit. The energy that I got from this immediately, it's sort of like the bird's eye view of a lot of different stories that are all essentially telling the same thing, which is the shift in energy that is happening right now is requiring us to look at everything we've built. This is such, this card, this whole deck really talks about America in a really big way, but this card is really about America, and the Devil in general is energy that's talking about the chains that bind us, the things that keep us from true freedom. And so here we are in America, where we are supposed to be this land of the free. And there's all sorts of things on this devil card indicating the ways in which we are absolutely not free. We've got politicians shaking hands with racist clans. We've got people plugged into media in a way that allows you to tune out the truth of what's really going on, which is America, this eagle, dropping bombs in its own land, let alone in lands surrounding. So really this card is about, and the devil energy is about the ways that we can destroy ourselves if we allow that to happen. That's how we start off the reading here, thinking about the ways that we are held back from our own freedom. This is echoed in the Nine of Swords. The word on this card here is despair, and we've got someone sitting out in what looks like some tough weather. Winds are blowing, perhaps there's rain happening or a storm is coming. And they're sitting out in the cold with not much protection here for this storm that is about to come. So for me here, the Nine of Swords usually represents some intense mental energy. It can be someone is really up in their head, and it is usually negatively affecting you. You're having trouble sleeping. You are really in some sort of mental turmoil here. And in this spread that we've got, this person on the Nine of Swords is looking over at the Devil. So whatever this is that's got you all up in your head is the chains that hold you back. This is the thing that holds you back from complete freedom. This is the thing that keeps you blind, so to speak, that keeps you from seeing the truth, and perhaps even keeps you silent. Sometimes with the devil imagery, it is a depiction of a classic devil image and that devil is holding the chains, or I almost said the reins, on two people below. And so I'm thinking about when silence equals profit, and I'm imagining the systems that we have in our country that hold us in chains and keep us silent, and that profit off of our silence, that profit off of distracting us with other things, and so that they can reap the benefits of our ignorance. And so that's happening on a larger scale here, and these cards are talking about that. But for you, Virgo, it really is looking at the ways that you are personally affected by that larger energy at play here. What ways are you kept blind to the truth, or kept blind or kept silent by things that hold you back? And how does that affect your mental energy? Specifically, pay attention to when you feel left out in the cold. I would say, are you really left out in the cold? Is this like a repeat of old cycles? Because that's another thing with the Devil card. We've got Saturn here, right? This is... in the tarot, this card is representative of Capricorn energy, and also and the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. So we're dealing with Saturn energy here. We are looking at cycles that need to end. As we are going through this opening here that is available to us with this moon cycle, we really are looking at how to end these cycles, particularly the cycles that keep us bound in some way. For you, Virgo, we're looking at mental cycles here. It's time to end whatever mental cycle is holding you back, because the next step here is the Fool. It's time to launch forward with this beautiful Fool energy, which, by the way, in the Next World Tarot, the Fool is also ruled by Saturn here. So again, we've got like the ending, a cycle that needs to end here in the Devil so that something new can begin. The Fool is the 0 card. Again, I keep doing this with my hands because I'm really feeling like there is an opening here. And the opening goes two ways. You know, it's like when you're stepping into a new world, at the same time, it's also sort of like coming out of a birth canal. So you're stepping into something new and you're leaving something old behind. And it really can feel like a rebirth. And this Fool card is a particular energy of that rebirth that's directing you to take a leap of faith. To take a leap of faith into the unknown. And when I first started reading tarot, the word Fool always tripped me up, because I was always like, I don't want to be the Fool. And listen, I'm a Virgo sun, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. So heavy Virgo energy over here, and I deeply understand this idea of not wanting to fail and not wanting to be played the fool or made a fool of, or feel like a fool for taking a leap in a new direction, or for following my gut. So for a long time in my life, I had a hard time trusting my instincts and trusting my spiritual knowing, because I was so afraid of taking a leap outside of the mental realm, using resources other than my logic to make decisions was always a really, really scary thing for me, and continues to be a scary thing. But the Fool is really asking you to drop down out of your logic brain and take a leap from your heart. Take a leap from your soul. Listen to your gut. Where is your gut taking you? That is Spirit trying to lead you here and say, hey, listen, leap and the net will appear. And with the Fool card, we're almost always taking a leap into a direction where we can't see the results. We can't see what's going to happen. It is a leap into the unknown, which is why sometimes the Fool card is depicted as someone leaping off of a cliff. And that leap can feel really scary, but the Fool is no fool. Because listening to your gut and listening to what your higher self and your spirit is telling you to do, and usually when we get the Fool, it's because we're getting a real true calling that's saying, come on, let's go. Come on, it's time. And when you feel that in your spirit, that is absolutely something you can trust. And following that energy is, you are not a fool for following that energy, for taking that leap, even though you can't see what's on the other side. So for the context of this reading, Virgo, I think this really is about getting out of your head, getting out of the energy that scoops everything you have, all of your essence, up into this tiny box and just torments you with cloudy storms up there. That is devil energy. That is an old cycle that keeps you bound, and it's time to break free of that with the sword. So I encourage you to get alone with yourself, to tap into that Virgo hermit energy, and really just using your breath, taking deep breaths. Imagine all of that mental energy slowly sinking down, 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 down into your roots, into your depths. If it helps you to imagine roots growing down out of the bottom of you and rooting down deep into the dirt, into the earth, that is some solid Virgo energy that's going to help redirect all of this mental spinning down into something grounded, that Mother Earth that you can trust. And it's there that you'll really feel this Fool energy, where you are being pulled. And looking at this particular depiction of the Fool, this person is sort of looking off into the distance, looking a bit wistful. They're looking into a new horizon, and they're not sure what that horizon is going to bring. And there's all sorts of things swirling here. There's money swirling around. There looks like a love note swirling around. So the Fool energy really is like whoosh, this whoosh of change, that leap that you take brings every area of your life into question, into the unknown territory. And with that leap of faith into some new world, with this moon cycle that we are in, there's often a leaving things behind that can be hard. Something that's not talked about often with the Devil card is ending those old cycles with Saturn. Saturn helps us to end those cycles that we no longer need, those learning curves that we are here to explore in this life, and the things that we're here to close out and tie up those loose ends. There's a death process with that, a metaphorical, usually, death process that is something to hold space for and honor and mourn. So however this applies, even though clearly this is a cycle that affects you mentally in a way that's not good, and it's time to move into new horizons and take that leap of faith from your heart, it's not without some sort of mourning of what is ending. So go ahead and mourn that ending, mourn what needs to close, even if there is energy here that is not serving you. It's still perhaps something that you have grown attached to or accustomed to in some way. So mourn that closing with this Fool energy. It's like this person is on a boat and they have to mourn, or they're waiting for a bus or something like that. And so they have to mourn that what they are leaving behind and step forth into what they cannot yet see with heart and with trust and faith, knowing that the path before you is one towards your abundance. I'm feeling like we need to take a card from the Octospamen deck here just to get a little bit of extra clarity and message here for you, Virgo. Also, if you'd like to dive deeper into this spread, I am going to do an extended reading, so you can click the link below this video after we're done. It's going to take you over to Vimeo, where I will pull some clarifying cards for each of these three energies so that we can get a more specific story here. So if this is resonating for you and you want to go deeper, I will see you over there in the extended. So let's see what final message we have here for Virgo mid-June. What is the message here for Virgo mid-June 2019? Oh my gosh. Y'all, I shuffle these cards so much in between readings. 3 people so far, 3 different signs have gotten follow the white rabbit. I think it was Leo and Capricorn also got follow the white rabbit. Wow. So in this card, we have depicted a person holding a rabbit, and she's sort of making a hole here that the rabbit is slipping through. So thinking about following the right white rabbit. I keep pulling this card and I keep having to say white rabbit. It's kind of hard to say. This brings up imagery of Alice in Wonderland, you know, following the rabbit down the rabbit hole, and where's that white rabbit going to lead you? And it's a total trip. You know, this journey that Alice ends up going on as she's dreaming, as she's going into her subconscious. She meets so many characters along the way, and she meets pieces of herself that she didn't even know were there. This really is a journey into your unconscious to meet the various fractals of your being that are contained inside of you. There are so many versions of yourself that you carry around, and there are certain versions that we like to show the world and that we choose to present to the world more frequently, and then there are other versions of ourselves that we choose to deny, that we keep at bay in some way, or sometimes we are ashamed of certain aspects of ourselves. The white rabbit is inviting you down this rabbit hole for you to really meet yourself in perhaps an unorthodox way. Again, I keep feeling this energy for a lot of people here mid-June, but for y'all Virgo, of getting out of the head and dropping it down the rabbit hole into other realms that exist within you, into other ways of making decisions, other ways of gathering information, other ways of moving forward. You know, Virgo's ruled by Mercury. We love being up in our heads, but this white rabbit is inviting you elsewhere, inviting you to other parts of your energy. And you know, it can be a real trip. It can be a real trip to tap into those subtle realms and those unconscious places. I would say dream journaling would be a really great idea at this time as you're going through this transition, this rabbit hole. And with the white rabbit coming out, I think if you don't already keep a dream journal, keep something by your bedside that you can either write your dream down as soon as you wake up so that you can remember that, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just pick up my phone and press record, and I'll recite my dream while I'm still kind of half asleep and it's really fresh in my mind, and I can get all of the details and all of the feelings of the dream. And then later on, I'll go back and write it out and sort of do my own version of dream analysis with that. So Virgo, if that's resonating with you, if you're having some dreams that you feel like are important, or you feel like your dreams are a place where you can gain some information for this new journey, the White Rabbit is absolutely leading you there. In her other hand, she's got a knife. I'm specifically noticing that it looks like a bread knife, which is something I haven't noticed for anyone else that has got this card. So Virgo, I think that energy is totally for you. Yeah. Check that out. There's like that serrated edge. That's a bread knife. And I'm getting images. Okay. So talking about bringing things from the mental sphere down into another place. One way that you might be able to do that, to get out of your head, is like working with bread. If you bake, I don't know, maybe I'm talking to somebody really specific here, but bread keeps coming up. With this bread knife, I'm getting images of like somebody kneading dough and like you working with their hands to do that. So there's some sort of like, even if bread making is not necessarily your thing, find a way to work with your hands. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's digging in the dirt, maybe it's some form of physical exercise that you can do. You've got to find a way to work with your hands that nurtures you, which is why bread came up. All right, so this is a really intense energy that we've got here, and you've got to make sure that you're nurturing yourself in that process. And part of how you nurture is intentionally dropping out of your head and into your physical body. Really get all that mental energy out in some sort of physical way that nurtures you. So that's on one hand here with her knife in one hand. That's what I'm feeling there. Okay. And I also just understood that once you're up in your head because you're trying to find the truth. You're in this place of like, you're feeling like you're blind to something, and you can feel you're being held back by something, but you're not exactly sure what. You're being asked to take this leap of faith, which is pretty scary, and you're not really sure if you should do that or if that makes any logical sense. You're trying to find the truth here. What is my clarity? In order to get that clarity, because often knives, swords represent clarity, represent truth. In order to get that clarity, you've got to go down the rabbit hole. You have to get out of your head. You're not going to find the clarity that you desire by spinning in your hamster wheel in your head. You've got to drop down out of that mental storm energy that is focusing on this cycle. No, you've got to get out of that by working with your hands, by doing something different. Take your energy out of your head, work with your hands. Think about the work that you do out in the world that nourishes you and nourishes others, and then bam, that revelation will just come to you. So I would say focus on the work that you do out in the world, working with your hands in some way, get physical in some way, in order to get out of your head, and then pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to the ways that your other senses and the ways that your spirit speaks outside of the mental realm. And the revelation, the truth, the clarity that you desire for this leap into a new way of being or into a new world will come to you. All right, Virgo, that's what I have for you mid-June. If you'd like to follow me over to the extended, we'll dive into this deeper. If this is where I leave you, thank you so much for joining me. If this video resonated with you, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel so that we can stay connected as we move into eclipse season here and finish out this moon cycle. And if this resonated with someone in your life, feel free to share that with them as well. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon.